Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This video will probably be coming out after, but happy Father's Day, everyone. Today is Father's Day. I'm filming this on Father's Day. I don't know when I'm going to release it. Might release it today, might release it tomorrow. But anyway, happy Father's Day. Hope you guys had a great time. But today we're going to be reacting to more ANR nonsense. And Santa Chief, if you're watching, I guess the Jaegers have pit us against each other, and they want a debate between the two of us. I have watched some of your content, and I also want to debate with you. So this is my formal invitation. You can either come on my channel, I'll go on your channel, doesn't matter. I don't care. But Thursdays and Fridays, or Thursday or Friday, I will gladly have a conversation with you. But now that we have that out of the way, we can now move into ANR. Alright, so let's continue. Alright, here we go.
Oh dear.
Just catch you guys all up. I'm actually going to rewind this to catch you guys up.
Asks him why he seeks freedom outside the walls. He answers, "It's my birthright because I was born into this world." This is why it makes sense that Eren is determined to build Eldia on top of blood and end all war from then on. So going back to the chapter, Armin thinks that any answer will be better than the one Eren has chosen, that he's simply a slave to his own selfish desire for Eldia to prosper. However, Eren rebuttals, stating that they didn't wage this war, fam, the world did, and rightfully so. In their eyes, they will always be devils no matter what, because Eldians possess the power to inherit titans, and as long as that mentality persists, nothing can be resolved. Words won't be able to change the truth in the eyes of the world, and all the lives
I'd actually like to pause it here.
that died for you will have died for nothing. Woo!
It's not.
Wait, can we just?
Are you? No, we can't appreciate anything. That was nonsense. That was utter nonsense. And now I know I backed it up because I already read this last time, but I would just to point out, first off, just a melodrama invoking Commander Airman like that. Come on, that's real cheap. That is really cheap. And I know they invoked Commander Airman in 139, but it was not cheap like that. And secondly, I want to continually beat this drum until people get that. Just because the Eldons were Titans does not mean that they were. If the Eldons were not Titans, that would not mean that they would not be oppressed. Take a look at the Jews. Were they Titans? Right? They were innocent people who had nothing to do with anything. Right? They still got oppressed anyway. Right? So the Irish, they weren't doing anything, but they got oppressed anyways. Right? So, please, stop mentioning the Titans, because the Titans have nothing to do with why. Just like saying this, that because the guns are around, people die. Ridiculous. The Titans have little to nothing to do with why you guys are oppressed. Yes, it is a factor. But the main problem is that you guys were an empire, and as every single empire in human history has done, and will continue to do, because the devil lives in all of us, is commit mass acts of atrocity. Just like a toddler, right? Like, most toddlers, if they could, would kill you, intentionally or not, whether they knew about death or not. They would kill you, right? So when your toddler, goes behind your back, takes a cookie out of the cookie jar, they're stealing, then they lie to your face about it. That's a person I'm not gonna say he's going to grow up to do this, but that's a person who goes into someone's house, viciously violates their privacy, steals from them, and then lies to the cops or to the judges. Same exact template. The reason why it's funny is because, he stole a cookie, ha ha ha, but they're just not powerful enough to do what other people do. That's it. They're not powerful. And then again, if you were to put them in a timeout, and they want to go after you they want to get out of timeout, if they had the power to, they would injure you, seriously or otherwise, to get out of timeout. What I'm basically trying to say here is people are evil. It does not matter how much power they have. They're evil either way, and every person who has a lot of power is going to commit a lot of evil. So that's the main problem with them. That's the main problem with the Eldians. That's their valid problem. The other problem is that it goes both ways. The Marlians are evil mother effers too. That's the entire point of this, because the Eldians aren't really victims in a sense. As a culture, they're not really victims. That generation is 100% of victims, 100%. But they're not victims in the sense that they're just that the Eldians have always been these helpless people. No, they're evil. The Marlians are evil. That's what he's trying to bring up. That's why the cycle of violence happens within this context. As we see the Eldians be evil, they get overthrown with the Marlians, and now the Marlians are evil. So now we should have no notion that any one is better than any of the other ones. They're just in different circumstances. So, I really don't want. Again, he might not be saying that. I'm not saying he's saying this. I just really want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. That again, the Titans have nothing to do with why they're getting oppressed. The Titans. They're simply weapons of war, right? That's all they are. Let's go back to our video. Oh, I actually forgot to share this. I forgot to share my last video. I was looking back. I was like, oh man, I forgot to. All right, let's continue.
Appreciate the art. Look at this shit. I'm gonna say it, guys. I'm gonna say it. This shit is fire.
No, it's not. It's melodramatic. Actually, you know what? Let's take a look at something. Let's continue watching. I'll find it.
Now you're probably wondering, why has Armin not created a plan? What is the thematic message of this chapter, and how does it relate with the story Isayama created? Well, thanks to being friends with the people that created this project, I can explain the thought process behind this chapter, connecting to Isayama's overall story. So please make sure to follow AOT no Requiem on Twitter, because they will give us updates for part 3. We will definitely be covering it, so make sure to hit the notification bell for our channel, and make sure you support us. We need your support more than ever. Smash that like button right now. We need you guys. So let's explain the role of the Alliance and what Isayama intended with Armin's character. As we all know, Armin and Hange have always been the ones who considered the opportunity of using conversation to find peace between the warring nations. However, they weren't blind to the immense political undertaking their island would soon inherit. Now that they were aware of the state of the world, they hoped to cross the ocean and find hope in explaining themselves to the world that distrusts and hates them.
Sorry guys for the ads, I don't mean to.
However, unfortunately, their expectations failed. The world
did. Of course they did. And this is, again, I've been accused of not being a Jaegers multiple times, but that scene is absolute proof that what Aaron was doing was not. I'm not going to say whether I agree with the Rumble or not, but it was reasonable for him to do that because he tried everything. He talked to them, and they would not do it. They would not listen to him at all. So yeah, I got I got props for props is due. So there, I'll give you props for that. Good on you. You're right.
Would not dare listen to them. Their prejudice and fear runs far too deep. The Survey Corps was now facing an enemy.
And again, I also really want to explore, because I hear a lot about racism and prejudice, which is all correct. They were racist, prejudiced people, but I just want to bring that racism is not the issue here. Okay, it's really not the issue. They're not. The main problem is that they're racist. The main problem is that they're imperialist. That's their problem. Okay. Them being racist is really not the big. But yes, it's a serious issue. Yes, it is a valid concern. Yes, that is evil what they're doing, the racism. But that is not the main issue. The main issue is that they're imperialist. That's their main issue. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. Well, actually, no. There is more, but nothing less.
They couldn't defeat with swords or even conversation. Imminent death was coming to Paradis and their home. Throughout the 4 years, the only plan that made sense to buy them enough time was the 50-year partial rumbling. There was no other alternative. No other nation dared support them, and if there had been another option, it would have been brought up by now, but it wasn't. Eren then went AWOL and attacked Liberia without them, which forced their hands to move immediately instead of using what little time they had left. Armin even expressed that Eren breaking their trust would come with the consequence of being sacrificed to someone they could trust. So trust already shaken and the unthinkable brought upon them, Armin was logical but still focused on giving Eren a chance to prove he's on their side. And then the rumbling started.
Okay, so I want to address the melodrama here because this is something I have a serious problem with. So I'm actually we're at 10:15 right now. I'm actually gonna go back to that panel. So where is that? Maybe it's actually over here. Yep, it's over here. Look, it's the one that's been rewound the most. Look at that. Nothing to do with the plot, nothing to do with anything, but a cool panel is the time that they got the rewound the most.
That they didn't wage this war, fam. The world did, and
yes.
the power to inherit Titan. And all the lives that died for you will have died for nothing. Woo! Wait! Can we just dramatic message of this chapter and create the art? Look at this shit! I'm gonna.
Okay, so here's this panel. All right, so this is the melodrama. It's cool, right? Gets your blood pumping, gets your spine tingling. Let's look at something. Right now, you tell me this is not cool. Okay, you have to know the context of this. You probably do know the context. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But just look at this and tell me if this isn't a cool aesthetic right here. Okay, look at that. Is it not wild? Got the music in the background.
She has curly hair like mine. She's smart like
God.
me. She's
I'm
my
sorry,
new
guys.
best friend. Best friends
I really
for all
am.
kids.
Especially since you're trying to get into the moment. That was the end. Okay, now, damn. That was the one of the finale. That they split up in parts, like Attack on Titan, but that was one of the finales, one of the parts of Once. Now, while that scene was very nice and very touching, and you might not be able to notice it if you were didn't know the context of it, but it's supposed to be this very nice touching scene, and I hope that you guys noticed that in the thing. But that scene is completely meaningless. That scene means nothing because it gets retconned literally in the next episode. So basically what I'm trying to say is that you cannot trick, but again, this episode is one of the highest rated episodes mainly because of that scene. You cannot make a cool scene or a cool panel and expect me to just eat that up. No, it's garbage. If it's melodramatic, it's melodramatic. This show is known for being melodramatic, and ANR is melodramatic as hell. And you're basically, trying to take advantage of our emotions, is what I'm trying to say. And you're doing all this empty stuff. This is empty. It's empty. They've already had this conversation a bunch of times. And he's not going to stop anything. This man is the most powerful person in the world. He can make you a literal flower if he wants to. You're not stopping anything, right? And again, I don't know how ANR ends, and I hope it never ends, because it's a disgusting piece of work that should be allowed to die. It should shrivel up and die. And look, they have adult and they have kid Aaron completely betraying everything. You notice that they're never an adult and kid at the same time, right? Why are they both kids here? I know it's supposed to symbolize their dreams and their hopes, right? Aaron being a kid is supposed to symbolize a lot of things, and this crap right here, this Aaron does not coexist with this Aaron. This Aaron wants to kill this Aaron, which is why he dies. Funny enough. Yeah, this is just utter garbage. I really, really dislike this. It's melodramatic as hell. And if that one scene didn't do it for you, I'm really sorry, but I couldn't find the full version of it. But it's like the scene, it's like an aerial view, and it's the car, that yellow car escaping from the pink purple mist, and it's this really cool, aesthetically pleasing scene, but it's all worthless. It gets retconned literally the next episode later. It's worthless. It's melodramatic and it means nothing. I was supposed to get a tear in my eye. No, I'm not. That scene was worthless, and this is also worthless. This means nothing. But let's continue.
Focused on giving Eren a chance to prove he's on their side. And then the rumbling started. And what does Armin do? He celebrates and he's nervous about it. He doesn't know, oh my god, what are we doing? What? But again, Eren betrays Armin's expectations. He doesn't mean to just do the partial rumbling, but the entire world. This goes in direct conflict with the spirit of the Survey Corps.
Well, I think, there's been a lot of debate about what the Survey Corps is, and I think, I didn't watch the video yet, but I think Cal Entertainment, shout out to Cal Entertainment, I'm an adult, so I'm able to, he's not Jaeger, so he doesn't agree with the rumbling. He thinks Eren's Eren's a bad guy, he says he's a villain. Some things I agree with him on, some things I don't agree with him on, but I'm an adult, so I like his stuff a lot. And I don't get butthurt just because he has a different, different ideas than me. But, what I would say the Survey Corps spirit would, I would say that it would go against the rumbling. You have to understand, the Survey Corps is, Eren's pretty much acting the role of king right now. Well, actually, he's acting the role of husband, but from what we know, he's acting the role of king right now. So a king is supposed to take care of his nation, right? The Survey Corps is if it was in the real world, it'd be an international organization, right? And its biggest goal is to explore stuff that humanity needs to know about. So they'd be exploring the ocean, like below the ocean. They'd be exploring below the ocean right now. If they're around right now. So I'm going to say that my personal opinion is that it goes against, the rumbling goes against the spirit of the Survey Corps, because the Survey Corps doesn't really care about, it does care about human rights, but it's not its main priority, I would say. And they certainly don't care about nation or national allegiance, or they care about exploring stuff and seeing new lands, taking humanity on the brink of constantly satisfying humanity's curiosity. So they'd be against the rumbling simply because it will destroy the Earth and make most of the Earth uninhabitable. That's what I say. So that's what I say. So I think they would be against the rumbling, but again, not for the reasons you think. I think they don't care. They're about humanity, right, and his thirst for knowledge and stuff like that. And yes, they did want freedom, 100%, but they do not have a really, natural. It was more of a global take on this. Those are my thoughts. I'm not trying to, contradict me. I'm just saying my thoughts.
Prepared to kill monsters, regain land, but not wage war.
Exactly, regain land. Hey, they use the Malaysian version. They want to reclaim land. Yeah, most of all, they want to reclaim land. That was the biggest. And then you have to remember that after the armor broke through the gate, their objective pretty much changed to surveying land, because that's what they called the Survey Corps, because they're land surveyors. That's what they were. They went from land surveyors to reclaiming lost territory. So they're sort of morphed into that position because they're already equipped to deal with it, right? So, again, I'm not trying to prove or disprove anything. I'm just sharing my thoughts. But it's hella funny using Malayan version.
On this scale,
Malaysian.
Not indiscriminately killing everyone. The Survey Corps has always been a selfless organization, willing to lay down their lives for the hope and good of people. Hanj embodies the hope of peace
I
between
do
the
think I
lands.
agree with them, because, the Marlians were the biggest threats to world peace. Or maybe they weren't the biggest threats to world peace, but they were. One can say that they were the biggest threats to world peace, because they're the one, doing the most human atrocities, so, and inhibiting, freedom and exploration. So again, the scouts' mission changed from time to time, and it's the leader which actually embodied the scouts, which is curiosity. They want to know knowledge about the outside world. So their leader really fit the bill. Armin, again, fit the bill because he was very curious about the outside world, but he was more altruistic. He was a bit too altruistic for the role, I would say. So killing the Marlians, is it with the scouts? Is it not against the scouts? We're just beating around the bush. The scouts are pretty much obsolete at this point, right? Which is why there's a divide between the two. Which is why you have former scouts, like King Floch as an example. Yeah, I say that ironically. And the other people who beat up Shadis, those people, they're all scouts who want to sacrifice their lives for humanity, right? So they were the S. They were the S. So but they went off and they broke off because the scouts. This is really a very obsolete time to be a scout. Okay, and they're right. They're obsolete. the Jaegers, because again, their main goal is to survey land, learn new stuff, and the vague goal of bettering humanity, whatever that's supposed to mean. So again, I'm not saying he's wrong or right. I'm just saying myself on it.
And the very energy of protecting all life and not selfishly drawing lines in the sand. Armin inherits this spirit, but even after Hanj dies and Armin pushes onward, instead of accepting the ultimate choice to kill Eren to save the world, he believes he can still talk to Eren and stop him. Of course this fails, and Armin has no choice but to consider the worst. I think one of the best
Which is why it gets eaten up.
improvements that Attack on Titan No Requiem has provided is—
That's why I say it's disrespectful. That's why I keep saying it's disrespectful. Improvements. How dare you say you're improving on that work? How dare how haughty you have to be? I'm gonna improve. I'm gonna improve this work. I think I can make it better. I mean, maybe you can, but you better come up with something good. This is far and away disgusting. Far and away worse than the original. The original, yeah. Again, I say I'm an ending defender down to the end. I love seeing how the story made, but I say it's a 6 out of 10. This is a 2, maybe a 1. Okay, this is a complete trash. I mean, I'm sorry, bro. You can't say, again, if you're gonna have the balls that you're improving the story, you better make something good. You better make something good, and it better be 59 pages, and it better be according to the how much words you can fit into a word bubble, because that was all relevant information. Let's get him.
It's definitely improving Armin's character and
No, they're not.
painting the contrast in each other's arguments.
No, they're not. They've already had this conversation a bunch of times, over and over again, and that's why Hanji says first in season 4, part 1, she's saying everything I do is think of the Eldians. That's a lie. But you know why it's a lie? Because they're constantly trying to pretend like they can harmonize the two. Meanwhile, the audience knows you guys are dead wrong and you're running out of time. And then eventually they're like, yep, we agree, he disagrees. That's it. We should sacrifice the Eldians for the rest of the world. We should sacrifice the rest of the world for the Eldians. There's no more debating. There's no discussion. There's no anything. They know where he stands. He knows where theirs stands. He grabbed her. He said, "Please, is there any other way?" No answer. He went to Marley. We may kill them all. No other way. He went to Mikasa. He's like, what am I to you? Same answer. Then the guy comes. Right on time. There he is. Right on time. Everything's planned out exactly like how I said. Armin knows, which is why he doesn't waste his time arguing with him. And again, in the canon, Armin has a pretty good idea that Eren's going to die, and then they're going to be trying to kill each other. So he doesn't waste his last conversation he has with him arguing with him about ideologies that he knows is going to be futile. He says, "You know what, man? I can see you going through a hard time. I can see you doing this all for us. I can see you're putting yourself through all that pain for us. I can see you're making a sacrifice for us. Thank you. I'm not going to let this go in vain." And he didn't. He went off, and they lived in peace and in prosperity. They had cars. They lived in peace and prosperity. So do what you will with that. Okay? This nonsense about these, again, this is what I really hated. It's just this melodramatic clash of ideologies that we already heard expressed multiple times, and they all admitted, yep, Eren's right, yeah, Eren's right, yeah. And you don't argue with someone that you just said is right. Okay? Previous chapters, when they're all in the woods having that conversation, I think it's season 4, part 2, they're all having a conversation in the woods. I think it's volume 30. That they all agreed, yeah, John's like, yeah, Eren's right. Hanji has absolutely no answers. Like, just genocide is wrong. That's it. Genocide is wrong. Right? And then the very end of the chapter, yeah, they said, yeah, Eren was right. Eren's right. You don't argue with something that you say is right, is what I'm trying to say. And he already knows that he's wrong. He already knows he doesn't know the solution, because there is no solution. There is no solution. They're just choosing what to sacrifice or not. And he's not going to spend his last moments with his dear friend that he's been distanced from for 4 years, arguing about nonsense. And again, whether he dies or not, Eren's going to die after a year. This is one of his last conversations, and Armin knows this because he's going to die after a year. So this malarkey where he is this melodramatic pseudo-Chad nonsense where he's arguing with him is baloney. Let's continue.
Due to the morally complex argument that they are having, there is no correct answer. Both are in the wrong. Eren believes in the idea that for Eldia to live, the world has to die, which is not much different from the idea that many people had to sacrifice themselves so that Armin can now be alive. Armin's existence is proof of Eren's argument being correct to some extent. However, the same goes for Eren, as Armin believes that Eren will be a hypocrite.
No, because the Scouts never killed innocent people. He's killing innocent people. I'm sorry. Let's rewind that.
As oppressing the world's right to live, just like his world was that of a birdcage, which allowed for his existence to begin with. The Malians created Eren through their oppression, and Eren is willing to oppress the world for the sake of Eldia. It's this duality between both of them that enhances
it's this duality that I understood, and I appreciated them putting this aside in the last couple chapters. I think the last 10 or 12 chapters, they completely push this to the side. This arguing nonsense, because the audience already had an understanding of all this stuff. All the other things explained, the audience already had a understanding of, and they pushed it all to the side, and they were just fighting. That's it. We know where you stand. You know where I stand. Let's just finish this out. Okay. So, and that's why he says, I'm going to ask you once I rip you out of there. At 134, I think was what it was. Because, yeah, it was 134. He's not going to waste time arguing with him. He's already argued with him. Again, once he brought them into, I think it's a synergy. He brought them onto the path. He said, "Listen, this is how it is. You take world takes away my freedom. I'm going to take away your freedom. You're free. I'm not going to do anything with you. So you go ahead and be free." And then he went off to do whatever. That's it. It's over. That's nothing after that. Another thing, I would like for you to just at plot hole, because you started this in Synergy 132 or 133. Or either one of those, or maybe 132, 133 is what Sinners is, and this starts at 137. So I would love for you to explain the gaping plot hole of why he kept Reiner and Annie around, because were they his friends, right? I know you people love to hate on these people, and Falco, you could argue for why you keep Falco around, but why do you keep Peak around? He had nothing to do with it. The only time he ever talked to her was when she tried to kill him and then betrayed him. That's the only interaction he's ever had with her. So I would love for you to explain why she still has her freedom, why she's does not have her Titan powers, why she's not in the coma, or why she still wanted to gallop and do whatever the hell she wants to do. I would love for you to explain that, because again, that's still canon according to you guys, because it starts in 137. So please explain it to me. Now, if you didn't already guess, my answer is, well, it's simple. He says at 137 that 139, he didn't know if his friends were going to survive or not. So he wanted his friends to have the best possible survival chance by letting all Titans run free on him. So that's why I kept the cart. That's why I kept the jaw. That's why I kept, and also we know that he cares for Reiner. He did consider Reiner and Annie his friends, which is why he talked to them after. He didn't talk to Peak and Falco, but he did keep their powers around because he wanted his chance to have the best. He wanted his friends to have the best chance of survival. So that's why. That's why he did that, and that gets. And that's a question I was asking myself. It's like I was asking myself, does he really need to kill everybody? Number one, and I'll talk about that in another video. But I'm not going to get into that. I was like, why does he need to kill everybody? And or is it necessary to him to kill everybody? And why is he keeping these people's powers around? Because they have nothing to do with him. So I could sense that he was lying or something was amiss in his the last thing he said to them. So, but that got solved in 139, and I'm glad for that. You have no explanation for that, or maybe you do. Maybe you do. Listen to you.
Story so much. Like, I don't know, instead of being thanked for becoming a mass murderer in chapter 139.
Again, I say it once, I say it again. Listen, bro. This was his last conversation with his friend. He knew he had a good chance of dying, and he knew he was sacrificing himself. He was putting himself through pain for them, and he knew he was not going to change his mind. So why would he say anything else? All right, let's continue.
God is forgiving. Thank you, G.
And he said, "I won't let this mistake or error." He said mistake or error. Okay, pick and choose, man. He says, I think he said such terrible mistake, terrible error go in vain. So, no, you just don't understand interpersonal conversations. You would rather a melodramatic conflict than a meaningful dialogue. And that's why I didn't like Season 3, Part 1.
So when Armin lashes out, they both clash, and in that anger, their Titan powers activate.
Oh, I love this. This is one of my favorite parts, because not only is this absolutely ridiculous, they're wasting their time getting to a physical fight, which I thought Armin didn't do, because it was lowering himself to their standards. But they get into a physical fight over this nonsense, arming tussles, and you will not believe what happens next. You will not believe number 38. Oh,
Armin sees more memories. These are the shards that were completely ignored by Isayama in the final 3
how this happens, they were not ignored. I'm not gonna talk about that. How this happens, I don't know, because he's supposed to have someone foil plus. I don't know how this is happening. Number 1. But this gets so much better.
chapters. These shards were shown to readers in chapters 120 and chapters 130. Every single memory
Huh?
We have to do the cookies.
I put the greens out.
Y'all already got them out.
No, I got them out. What do you mean Yoan got them out?
Oh, okay.
Thank you. It gets so much better, guys. Just
represents something Eren has done to complete his plan of the rumbling. And with it being unaddressed in the original story, it led to things not making sense at all to the fans.
Like
For
what?
example, why would Historia be asking
Okay, now this is probably one of the only sort of half-brained valid questions that get asked, which is why is she asking him to about having a child? And here's why. First and foremost, the man has seen the future. Number 1, he's seen the future, so he knows what's going to happen next. So that would be why. Number 2, she's had a relationship with him for a while, and she relies and trusts him since due to their history together. So that is also a reason why. You're right. So it's very, very easily explained. This is nothing to do with. Again, especially considering this man can see the literal future. This is a giant nothing burger. And again, there's been more emotional and loving moments with Mikasa, especially if you consider the music than anything else. So please, there's not one song about Eren and Historia. There's not one. There's multiple with Mikasa. Let's continue.
Eren if she should have sex with the random farmer.
That don't make no sense.
Armin
Yes, it
witnesses
does.
Eren's memories with Historia. The first panel shows Zeke talking to Eren during chapter 130, in which Eren was remembering his conversation with his brother regarding Mikasa's love for him and the truth behind the Ackerman clan. In the original manga, instead of thinking about Mikasa, Eren ponders upon Historia regarding his plan for the rumbling and Historia asking him if she should have a child. Eren knows he has 4 years left to live.
I think that proves my point more. As I said, he knows that the future's going to be good for her baby, and that she's not going to have to be sent into hell, which is presumably what would have happened in your canon. So I think that's why. Yeah. So and the other thing I just realized just now is that if she would have to be eaten, she would have to eat the real family would have to eat each other to continue the royal bloodline. So that's another reason why she could be asking, because is the royal bloodline going to end? Is it might get sent to hell to find their solution? Because again, the children is a big part of the whole chain of the founder stuff. So again, very easily explained, a giant nothing burger, and that's the
and claims he wants everyone to live long, happy lives, while showing concern about not being able to achieve his goal or being alive for his child if he doesn't conduct his plan in full.
He won't be alive for his child either way, because he's going to live for another year. And when this is happening, he has 1 year left to live. So why are you acting like, somehow he's going to be there for his child? He's not going to be there for anybody, because he's going to be dead.
The next shard we see is Eren telling everyone that he will refuse to sacrifice Historia to become a Titan.
Yeah,
and
he did say that. Again, that's why I say Eren's a layered freaking character. Because he had a special relationship with Historia, but that was platonic. But instead of praising Isayama for writing a beautiful bisexual platonic relationship, you instead decided to get angry at him. Why? I really hate to sound like I'm insulting this, because I'm not in this instance, but just because two people of the opposite sex have a good relationship or a good relationship does not mean that they have to marry. And yes, most times it's completely true. If a man has a good relationship with a woman, he wants to marry her 100%. But men can have good relationships with other women, okay, while they're still married and before they're married. I really hate to saying like I'm saying the obvious here, but that really is the point. But instead of praising Sian from diverting from popular media, which usually romanticizes romance, and every bisexual relationship has to be just that sexual. Instead of praising him for that, instead of praising him for diverting from that trend, you instead decide to be angry at him for not making this a romantic relationship. Yeah, he's a layered character. He cared about his country, he cared about his freedom, he cared about his story, he cared about his friends, he cared about Mikasa. It's called having a layered character, a well-written character, a rich character. But instead, he wanted some basic character that wanted, revenge and freedom, which is kind of interesting. And then he had his little side chick on the side. So, no, please miss me with it.
Letting her future children eat her as a requirement for peace. This thematically would bring closure to the plot regarding getting children out of the forest, which was brought up by
No, these people, it's that they don't understand. Are you trying to understand? Getting the children out of the forest is burdening the sins of the past. That's what it is. Okay, and that's why they didn't flip out on Annie like you wanted them to, because they're burdening the sins of the past. They're getting the children out of the forest. That's how that happens. Getting the children out of the forest is that. Okay. It's about the parents not exacting revenge, justified revenge, on other people. That's what the theme is. But you bastardize it.
Multiple characters that children are suffering the most through the cyclic nature of war.
Yeah, this baby is supposed to juxtapose a very hopeful baby that his story is having.
That is currently the regime. For example, look at Onion Kompan explaining that children are the future, and Sasha's father explaining how children need to be taken out.
Yeah, look at Sasha's father. What is wrong with you people? You people make me sick. You clip it's like CNN. I'm not gonna go there. You guys clip the small portion, but you didn't read the entire thing.
The forest, otherwise the same history of misery is repeating over
Yeah, I guess you also didn't realize when the owl said the same thing about love
and over again. Eren understood this, and that's why I
decided to do everything against Mr. Browse and take vengeance anyway. Do I really need to get that panel up here? I think I do need to get that panel
subplot has so much meaning that he was involved in breaking this cycle. Not only that, but Eren having a child with Historia juxtaposes his brother's plan, who he himself called a loser in chapter 120, as Zeke's plan is to stop Eldians from having children, whilst Eren using his own free will to love someone like Historia to bring about a child with true freedom exemplifies his entire message of what it means to be truly free. This is why Eotino Requiem, they also show a shard of Eren's grandfather. Eren's grandfather was speaking to him in Liberia without knowing. He admitted his own.
Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out our list.
Own personal regret of being a bad father to Grisha and Faye, whilst he was forcing Malian ideology onto them, right? Eren is making sure he won't make the same mistakes as the previous generation, because his child will be born in a free world.
Alright, do I really need to do this? I think I do. Okay. So, here's what he says. Joshua got shot, blah, blah, blah. To shoulder the sins and hatred of the past. Now that's the burden us adults. Okay? That's the burden that burdens us adults. Okay? So, he's saying to shoulder the sins and hatred of the past. Okay? So him exacting revenge about his mom and his home and all this other stuff is against the Children of the Forest theme. Don't invoke that, because he is his enemy. He's Aaron's ideological enemy, which is why he's very upset or displeased in 139 when the Jaegers start having their little chant or victory parade or whatever, because he's not about that. He's about forgiveness. His entire thing is forgiveness. Okay, and the owl is about love. Okay, so please please don't bring up this man ever again. And don't bring up his chosen of the forest, because Aaron is completely opposed to that. That was not a question. Why are you bringing this up? Armin's a child of the forest god. What is wrong with you people? And you say we don't, and you say that we're bad for thinking that you don't understand the story. You don't understand the story at all. You don't know anything, bro.
Explains Historia's vulnerability with the burden she's drowned upon by accepting the role as queen. However, she's glad she met Eren, as she admits. This links back to the original story Isayama created, where Eren is showing emotion being in Historia's company, and they practically have mutual interests of wanting to be around each other, as they both confess they...
This cannot be real, bro. Oh, they have mutual interest around being around each other. That must mean that they want to... Oh, they have mutual interest of wanting to be around each other. Oh, holy crap! They have to get married. Let's ship them. You guys think we're mocking? We say, I saw a meme that said, the Jaegers said literally any interaction with historian Aaron means that they ship it. Every interaction they make romantic. You think we're mocking you? We're not mocking you. He talks with a female, and all of a sudden he's into her. Get that out of here, bro. What is wrong with you people? Man, this is how incels think. They're so... my theory, I'm not trying to call anyone incel, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but my theory is that these people are so desperate for, female interaction that if they ever talk to females, it would only be because they want to fuck. So, maybe they're projecting a little bit. I don't know what's going on here, but something is very, very, very askew here. Because this man just outright just said, they want to be running each other's company, that they must want to get married. Sure, buddy. Sure. Oh, God, these guys.
They feel normal and happy when they do. We then see Eren, Historia, and Hanj in a room trying to find more information through the paths and memories, but Eren pretends that it failed, that he can't understand what any of it means. This was a great way of establishing Hanj having first look at the budding relationship between Eren and Historia as not just friends, but as confidants, establishing small memories of others spent together, showing their growing connection to the readers. This also connects Eren's motivations to keep moving forward, adding another layer to his reasoning, which is love. Hanj states that giving everything they've learned about
I guess I didn't like the love subplot. I guess I didn't like that. Am I missing something here? Oh well, this video's getting too long. Let's just continue.
Well, there is still too much they don't know. Everything has been so complicated since losing Erwin, and the hope that he bestowed upon everyone is dying. This is where Historia cuts Hanj off and acts like a true queen, a leader, and an inspiration to Eren, just as she was before, by the way, in the previous arc, saving him in the cave, which Isayama, the creator himself, admitted that Historia brought about the biggest change in Eren's character after that scene. For example, Eren even ends up using Historia's exact same words to Ymir Fritz when meeting her in chapter 121 to break the chains.
Yes, because she needs to live for herself. I don't see a problem. Again, he can't bring up Mikasa because you're trying to say that it was planned for him to love Historia, but he couldn't bring up Mikasa because she's not living for herself. So yes, as I said, Historia parallels Ymir, Historia parallels both Ymirs. That's right, I've been saying this for a long time. So, right, they have all had the same character arcs. Living for other people, then living for themselves. Same exact character arc. So that's why he quotes Historia, because he's pretty much the same character as Ymir is. And again, had Ymir not broken, Ymir Freckles Ymir had not made her live for herself, she still would be living for other people to this very day. And if she had the powers to control Titans, she'd be controlling Titans, just like Ymir Fritz. So please, stop bringing me BS.
Historia states that every challenge they have faced, they have overcame, and as long as they hope, there's nothing they can't accomplish. This isn't the time for them to feel sorry for themselves. We may not have all the answers now, but we didn't need them before, and we still got this far, so let's not give up. Moving on, we see the memory of Eren and Historia speaking regarding their plans for their future. An inevitable war is going to take place with a plan that is guaranteed to fail, by the way, due to their lack of military power and technology. Historia points out that she wants children to smile and be given a chance to live. The hope that
what happened in 139? Oh, her child was smiling. It's kind of like the character that was planned for her sort of went off without a hitch. And I don't think she'd be smiling for long when she realized that her dad died without even knowing her, and that her mom's gonna get eaten by her soon. I'm sorry. I think is she the only royal member left? Pretty sure she's the only royal member left, so that means that her daughter would have to eat her. So that girl's not smiling for long in your version.
they spoke about earlier that they cling on to themselves. She states, "Is it selfish of me to choose who I want to be the father of my children?" Because remember, in the original story, Historia was going to be pregnant without choice to avoid being used by the government. This is where we see the rest of the memory shard from chapter 130. Part 2 connects the entire storyline, where Eren admits that Historia is the one that saved him that day due to being the worst girl in the world.
What he's basically saying is that since she was incredibly selfish and was going to sacrifice humanity for her personal interest back in season 3 part 1, he was hoping that she'd do the same thing again, but she wasn't going to do that.
Decide together to have a child. This will now explain why Eren would go out of his way in his hooded disguise to witness Historia talk to the farmer, asking him to be with her. This was all a ruse to the others that do not know the truth. Historia reluctantly goes through with Eren's plan. This all ties back to her promise to Ymir, her former best friend in childhood, where she said she'd live for herself and not others, which directly goes with Eren's ideology of everyone being free upon birth. Right? I mean, why would Historia lie about the due date of her child otherwise? She lied to Levi and all the others. It's because she needed to, so that Eren wouldn't be the suspect. Historia's pregnancy conveniently falls on the day of the rumbling, and was shown once again in chapter 134.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but people cannot predict pregnancies down to the day. Sorry. But just because this is sort of a not that strong of an argument, but I'm just saying, like, it's not like it was awkward. It's a thematic element. That's why she gives birth on the day that has the most blood. She's giving life. On the day that has the most death, she's giving life. That's why she gives birth on that day, not because some mastermind planned it or whatever. But let's continue.
Whilst it was happening, to reaffirm to the readers that it's an important plot device that we should remind ourselves.
It is an important plot device, but you guys missed it. And I actually will admit here, this one was a little bit poorly executed, but it was an important plot device. First off, you have the death juxtaposed with life. Then you have, the children. Children are a big theme, as everyone knows. So there's a child there, and then you get a full completion to her arc, which is she's now able to teach the daughter how to live for herself, and she's not sent to hell. It's the first time in 2,000 years where the royal family is able to be together and live together. So that's why that's being focused on so much. And I hope it gets better executed in the anime, because it was actually really hard to decipher what all the big hullabaloo was about. But if there was some more, just a few lines of dialogue would have changed all of that. So it's a really easy fix.
Eren's motivation is pro-natalist. He'd go through with the plan so her kid wouldn't have to suffer the consequences of becoming a tool used by the military, or even face the threat of being killed by the outside world. I will now be passing the video on to Yusuf, as he will explain the rest of part 2 and how it...
Pausing since this video is going to be too long. Alright, so, we're listening to more trash, more garbage. Yeah, so, this has been we're about to get to one of the funniest parts in the entire show. Yes, story stuff was done sort of rushed, as everything 139 was rushed. But come on, guys, this guy is allowed to have relationships with females without being, whatever. But the Attack on Titan does relationships really well, and I didn't know this, so I'm actually thankful you guys have been scrutinizing these relationships so much. So I'm glad that I'm now able to really appreciate how good ESCML actually was in relationships. Because I didn't think of this as a relationship show, but it's an incredibly good one, and it's better than a lot of shows that claim to be relationship shows. So thank you for that. All right, guys, thank you for sticking around for another part. Please like and subscribe, and I will be with you for part 5.